Picture this. It's nighttime and you're staring at the stars. Among the stars is the moon shining its light down so you can see. Paul Brandt once said this quote, "Don't tell me the sky's the limit when there are footprints on the moon." The moon is something that we're all familiar with because we see it almost every single night. But how many of us who aren't scientists or astronomers actually know facts about the moon? Facts such as who first discovered the moon? How did ancient civilizations view the moon? What did it take to become the first people to land on the moon? And probably most importantly, what have we learned since landing on the moon? After doing much research, I am to answer all these questions during my speech. So let's buckle up and get ready for takeoff. The moon has influenced humanity since the beginning of time. It's said that many ancient cultures thought the moon to be some kind of god or goddess. According to Andrea Thompson from Space.com, the moon was wrapped into the mythology of many different cultures. To the Egyptians, it was Thoth, god of learning and writing. To the Greeks, it was Artemis, the goddess of hunt, vegetation, and childbirth. And to the Hindus, it was Chandra, the goddess of the moon, plants, and vegetation. The moon can also be seen in art from this time period as well. But it wasn't just used in art or for worship. According to Thompson, the moon was also used to plan out their days. The waxing and the waning of the moon helped develop what we now know as the modern month, and was also the inspiration for the name of the second day of the week, Monday. Not much was known about the moon until Galileo came along. He was the first scientist to discover that the moon had craters. So we've already seen how the moon has influenced humanity so far. And after thousands of years of staring at the moon from afar, humanity decided to take its greatest step yet, a step on the moon. After World War II, a new war known as the Cold War began, and this war involved two of the greatest countries during that time period. These countries battled against each other to see who had the greatest technology and firepower. In 1955, the US and Soviet Union announced their intentions of sending a satellite into orbit. The Soviets were the first to succeed at this goal when they launched the Sputnik satellite in 1957. After seeing the Soviet success, the US developed NASA to help plan and coordinate their space program. However, even with NASA now developed, the Soviets still continued their space success when Yuri Gagarin became the first person in space in 1961. Now, both countries originally didn't plan on going to the moon. They just wanted to make it to space. But that all changed when President John F. Kennedy said this quote, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal of landing a man on the moon." It was this quote that started the Great Space Race. But both countries faced many challenges and setbacks to achieving this goal. According to the Science Museum, in 1967, the Soviet Union faced a huge setback when Vladimir Komarov crashed to Earth. And in that same year, 3 crew members perished in a fire aboard the Apollo capsule during a test. The Great Space Race finally came to an end, however, in 1969, when the Apollo 11 touched down on the moon and Neil Armstrong uttered these famous words, "This is one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind." This was a day that people who lived during that time period would always remember. It was said that people all over Florida stood in the streets and on beaches just to watch the Apollo 11 take off. Later, they crowded around their TVs to see Armstrong take his first steps. So what have we learned since landing on the moon? Well, thanks to samples that we've taken, we can now determine an approximate age and also what the moon is made out of. According to Jody Ellis from Stalker.com, the moon scientists studied ancient zircon fragments from the moon to determine that the moon formed about 4.5 billion years ago. She next read this about what the moon is made out of. The moon is made of rocky material that's been melted, crushed, and erupted by volcanoes. But these are just a few facts that we know about the moon. We also know other things, such as that meteorites and asteroids impacting on the moon's surface are the reason for the moon's craters. Another fact that many people may or may not be happy to hear about is that there is currently no sign of life on the moon. Sorry, as far as we know, aliens don't exist, and if they do, then they at least don't live on the moon. NASA is still planning on continuing landing people on the moon through their Artemis program, which is set to launch in 2022. If this program is a success, it will make history for landing the first woman and person of color on the moon. They plan on using their research from this launch and this mission to eventually land on other planets as well, such as Mars. So as you can see, the moon has had a huge impact on humanity. Our ancient beliefs up until now brought us to the moon and showed us what we could learn from it. Now that our time with the moon is shifting, let's look beyond in search of humanity's next great adventure. Thank you. Are there any questions? No?